to come to 22 Parkwood Drive many nights a week. Tonight, unfortunately, my earphones went dead. The, what do you call them? The hearing aids.
Hearing aids.
And I hope you can hear me, even though I cannot hear you very well.
That's good. I like that.
This morning in my own personal devotions, I have been continuing the study of the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, Ecclesiastes is very much like the book called Ecclesiasticus, which is in the Apocrypha.
What does it mean?
And probably borrowed from what was written in the book of Ecclesiastes a lot. But it is the conscientious persons, the seeker after truth and meaning, and written down in such a way to chronicle all of the things that Solomon did, and we're going to call the author Solomon, even though some people dispute that. But the Jewish people all believe that Solomon is the author. So Solomon had lived an unusual life. Everything was handed to him on a silver platter. No, a gold platter. He was, at that time, the richest person in the world. He was, at that time, the smartest person in the world. He was the most well-traveled, the person who had met most of the important people in the world because they traveled to see him. So it was a very unusual life, and I don't believe that many people today would have the opportunity or the inclination to do what Solomon did. We enjoy life, and we have certain limitations to what we experience in life, but he had the resources and the inclination to explore every avenue of life. He wanted to see where he could find meaning, where he could find immortality, essentially, not spiritually, but just to have his memorials everywhere. And unfortunately, most of what he built is no longer there. But he decided he liked gardens, so he made huge gardens, like the one at the Versailles Palace, and maybe a little bigger. He liked zoology, so he explored everything, and I'm sure he had a zoo which rivaled or exceeded anything in the world at that time. But after he had done that, he said, been there, done that. He said, what else can I do? He said, I think I'll build buildings. And so he made something that was as grandiose as the Third Reich, and Haussmann's Paris. He wanted it to be spectacular and unrivaled in the whole world. So he did that, and when he was finished with that, that was good, but I still feel there's something missing in my life. So he began to explore all of the writings of the great sages who actually had, most of the ones we know about had not been born yet, but he wanted to know what are the wise men of the world writing that might edify me, and he decided, I know more than they do. So that's not very satisfying. He probably had a library with every book that had been written up until that time. And the point of that, it goes on for a couple of chapters and tells all the things that he did to find meaning and purpose and satisfaction. Nothing really satisfied the longing that he had in his heart to find out what life on earth was all about. To say on earth is very important because the author repeated 29 times in his book, under the sun. So all of these things he was exploring under the sun. Now he did some things that the Bible said don't do. And so since those were written by God, authored by the Holy Spirit, he should have paid attention to that. He would have discovered where the direction to go in order to find things that are satisfying or worthwhile. When I was at camp, we made a sign for the counselors' lounge that said, "Only one life, 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last." That would have been a good thing for him to have. And he would have realized that even though he was going to die, that was his problem. He knew he was getting older, he was going to die, and he saw everybody die. And he saw the poor man who had nothing in this world. Soon he was dead. Probably some malnutrition, some parasite, or...
What I'm thinking is, he asked God for wisdom. God gave that
That's
to
right.
him.
God came to him in a vision and said, "Solomon, what can I give to you?"
Mm-hmm.
And it was his prayer and his response, "Give me wisdom so that I can judge and reign over all of these great people that you have chosen for yourself and called your people."
It's a very humble request.
It was fine. He said, "I need the wisdom that comes from
Yeah,
above."
because he could rise riches and said, "Make me powerful," so these guys can, see
It would
how...
do us all well to pray that prayer. We need the wisdom that comes from above. And the first chapter of James said that if anybody lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. He gives to anyone who asks him. And he doesn't criticize you for it. He doesn't make you feel silly or stupid. As the teachers always say, there are no silly questions. When we don't know something, we should freely admit it. Anyway, he was incredibly gifted in the area of intellect and ambition and innovation and curiosity. He wanted to know everything about everything. But he always ended up these explorations by saying, "But what's the point of it? I'm going to die. I'm going to pass it on to my son. How does that make sense to me? Why am I frustrating myself? Why am I exerting myself when I don't even know who will get it, and I don't know whether he will be a good person or a bad person?" As it turns out, he wasn't such a good person. And that is often the case. And a person like Billy Graham is distinguished because all his children, although they went through hard patches in their lives, they're all involved in the Lord's work, building the kingdom. So it's a remarkable, remarkable family. But it's an unusual family because most, even people who have given their lives to evangelism or to missionary service or to some other high people who are in charge of the various organizations designed to help people with feeding or with health problems, or especially with orphans. The organization called Compassion International takes care of 1 million orphans. And World Vision takes care of 1 million. They don't compete with each other because there are plenty of orphans. Anyway, all of these things, to a thinking person, rationally speaking, using only his own intellect, he depended on it too much. But he, at least for our purposes, he said all of these things apply under the sun. When he said, "I haven't seen anything new under the sun." When he said, "I got a big harem," that was one of his big things. There was nowhere any part of God's intention for us. One wife is plenty. So he got 700 wives, probably all as a result of political alliances and so on. But what kind of mayhem must have existed in the place where they have 700 women all competing for him or expressing their frustrations or criticizing, gossiping, whatever they would do in their plus 300 concubines. And he said, I didn't find what I was looking for there. So eventually, this book got a reputation for expressing the frustration and futility and vanity of pursuing things under the sun alone, without any reference to God. So far, he has not referred to God. And we too can pursue all kinds of things. And when Mom and I have gone just on our little journeys to see these grand houses. Now, where did we go that we saw the